So there's mine from last week because we did our planets. And then today we're going to add in a UFO instead of a rocket. So I am going to first, because we're getting into a lot of layers now, I'm going to stay organized and I'm going to make a new folder and call this folder UFO. And when I add my next new layer, it should be nested. So it should have a little indent for my newest layer, which I'm going to name maybe the ship body.
Layer just goes right inside automatically. That worked. Ship body.
And just taking a look at our ship body, we can guess that we're going to use the ellipsis tool a couple of times. Yeah, oval, 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 and we'll get that base started. So on mine, making sure I'm on my ship body layer, I'm going to grab my drawing tool, change it to pen, and change the size to maybe 6 or so that I have a fairly thin line. Go up to my menu where I can choose my ellipse. And
what color have you picked?
I'm going to choose something that's completely different from my background so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to choose a yellow, knowing that I can always change that later. And I'm going to draw a squashed oval. We can always adjust the size of the UFO later also. So I'm just going to make it rather large to begin with. And I want to fill this in. So when I get my paint bucket, I have to decide, do I want it to pay attention to everything on the canvas? That would be canvas mode, or only the layer. And in this case, I want only the layer. So I'm going to change my paint bucket to layer, click on the inside and fill it up.
Okay, there was another thing I wanted to do. Okay, I've got expand 3. You've got expand 1. Is 3 going to, I want to get rid of, so it doesn't have a little line around it. Is this going to work with 3 or just?
Yeah, 3 will work fine. The only problem you would have is if you had set your pen to, let's say, 1 pixel, and then you set the expand to 3, it's going to go beyond your outline because 3 is bigger than 1. But otherwise, I had 6, so it wouldn't affect mine. So I've got my first oval in there, and then I want this darker oval to be like the cutout where the pilot would sit. So I'm, for right now, going to get a new layer. Just call this cutout or ship 2 or something else, something that you kind of know what it is. I need a color that's different from the yellow, so I'm just going to drag the value darker. And I'm going to make another squashed ellipse, making sure that it's more squashed. I don't want it rounder than my first one. I want to make it a little bit squashed, or maybe the same. Definitely not taller.
This is where we're getting the different curves.
I'm going to do the same thing with the paint bucket. Should have the proper settings already. And it might be a little bit off center. Maybe I accidentally made it over here. This is why we do it on a different layer at first, so that I can move it to the position that I want. Get it fairly centered. You can leave it on a separate layer just in case you feel like, oh, later I might make a mistake and I want to make sure it's easily corrected. Or if you want to minimize the amount of layers you have, you can collapse it with this little button right by the trash can that has the down arrow. That will merge the layers so that I only have one for my ship body. Either way.
Got it.
And when we're happy with that, I can now choose the actual color of my ship. So I'm going to go back to my ship body layer and hit Control U, which will bring up the hue, saturation, and brightness. And we can remember that the top, the hue, is the actual color. When we name red, blue, yellow, green, this is the slider that's going to change that. If we want it more dull, more gray, we're going to lower the saturation, or the opposite of that is very bright. And then the brightness simply makes it closer to black, or not closer to black, closer to white. So you can play with those sliders until you get the color that you like. I think I'm going to go for something that'll pop out against my purple and pink sky here. So I'm going to go for more of a red, a little bit brighter, maybe a little lighter, something like that, and say okay. And you can do the same thing with the cutout oval. If it's not on a separate layer, you just have to grab your magic wand first and select it. And go to that Control U, and you can do the same thing with adjusting the color, making it darker if you need it darker. I try to avoid pure black. And get just
so I just selected that cutout, and it worked, even though I'm on the ship body. I didn't collapse mine.
That must mean that you have your magic
wand set to
canvas. Yeah. If I had it on layer and I tried to get the cutout, it wouldn't work.
Okay, I'm going to put it back on layer. I'm going to go to my cutout layer. Got it selected on the right. Everything looks weird.
Looks weird?
All my colors are strange. Okay, I want to get rid of that. I'll go up here. Okay, my colors came right back. So that's okay. That's just, I don't know why, but all right, I've selected my little thing, and now we're just going to change the color of that or not.
Yep, I'm just going to get the colors to what you like. And then going back to our little demo piece, there are some lights all across the ship body. Hi, Mickey.
Hey, Mickey. Mikey.
And I'm going to go back to that ellipse tool. So I need my drawing tool, back to my pen setting, back to my ellipse, and I want a new layer. I'm going to name it lights. And I want a color that I can see. I'm going to go back to that yellow. And I'm going to make pretty much a circle for the one that is in the middle. It's right at us. And because it's on a different layer, I can move it to wherever I want on the ship body. And fill it in.
Okay.
So we need 3 more of these on the other side, but because of perspective, they're going to be getting skinnier and skinnier as they wrap around this ship. So first, the problem of duplicating. How am I going to get more of this exact same thing? There's 2 ways. You can either copy and paste, or I like the quicker version of hitting this little double piece of paper for a duplicate layer. Looks like it does nothing, but then when I move with my move tool, I've got a second circle. So I'm going to do that 3 times. And even if they don't fit on the ship, that's all right. Actually, let's just go ahead and put them in a straight line for now. That'll be easier to squish them. And I'm going to collapse all these new layers back into one so that all 4 of my lights are on one layer.
Will you still be able to move them?
Yes, we just have to use our little lasso tool if I want to move a single one.
Oh, okay. All right.
The reason being, I want to make them all skinny at the same time, and I can't do that if they're on different layers. So I'm going to get my marquee tool, my selection tool, and get all 3 of these guys.
Okay, stop. What's the marquee tool?
It's the one that looks like the lasso, but square. It's a square.
Okay, marquee.
Or selection
Take
tool.
The
what
last
is
3.
I forget what FireAlpaca calls it.
Got it.
Then I'm going to get my move tool.
Okay.
And hit Control T for transform, and we should get that box with the little handles around it so that we can manipulate. And I'm going to squish them just a little bit skinnier. And hit Enter. And Control D for deselect. And I'm going to repeat that with just these 2 on the edge. Get my move tool, Control T, a little skinnier, Enter. And one more time with just this last one. The skinniest of all. Like so.
Okay.
Now I'm going to go ahead and just select 1. Get my move tool, Control T for transform. And the top of the square, I want to rotate it so that it's basically parallel with my cutout oval. So it was like this. And I want to rotate it so the top of my transform square is somewhat parallel to that cutout oval, and then hit Enter. And I can still move it while it's selected. So I'm going to put it where I want it. And Control D when I'm done for deselect.
Okay, do another one so I can watch.
Sure.
Processing.
I'm going to select one.
Marquee.
Control T and get my move tool. Whoops. Yep. Then I'm going to rotate it so that this edge is somewhat parallel with that edge. Move it to where I want it. And then hit Enter when I'm satisfied. Control D, deselect.
Select. We move. And we twist. Ah. That didn't work. Try again. Okay, so I see you adjusted the space between them to be smaller and smaller. Is that another part of our perspective?
Yes, it is.
No, let's I'm gonna do that then. Go back and move this one over a little bit. Oh, that was a bad thing. All right, so when I tried to do that and I used my marquee selector, it cut out a piece of the other and moved that too.
Try using the lasso tool and then you can make it whatever shape you want and you can get a little closer to your light edge. Yeah, it kind of looks like a little peanut right under the rectangle one.
All right, just so I don't touch the other red bits. Oh yeah, that worked. Oh, here I am having a terrible time because I'm using my mouse. This class is about using my.
That's right. Use your tablet.
Okay, now things will get a lot better, maybe. Or not. Oh, whoop, whoop. Okay. All right, I did that. Sort of.
Okay. No problem. And we want the exact same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to duplicate that layer. But I need it to be mirrored. So I'm going to go over to my layer menu. And at the bottom, there's rotate and a flip horizontally. And when I do that, like magic, it flips over there. It might be in a weird location. Let's say it was like that. Luckily, the center one is exactly the same. So I'm just going to match up that center light.
All right, now where did you find that flip? That was on edit?
It's on layer.
Oops, layer.
Near the bottom, there's rotate. And then we want flip horizontally.
Oh, and then I have to move it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have to grab it with your little, no, you didn't have to even grab it. Just got moved.
Yep, it's on separate layer. So I just use my move tool and move it into position. And when I like it, I'm going to collapse those layers with my little down arrow. So I'm back to having all of my lights on one layer. Next, we're going to do this glass bubble to keep whatever atmosphere is inside this UFO from escaping into the great unknown. And unfortunately, we can't use the ellipse tool because I will show you what happens. When I try to make it tall enough, you'll see it gets very narrow and it doesn't have that same kind of domed bell jar look. So what I'm going to need to do is first, of course, make a new layer. Call this one glass, even though I'm sure it's not made out of glass. It's probably a force field, but I'm just going to name it glass. And I'm going to draw a circle with my ellipse tool and then some straight lines so that it'll have that nice dome top and then just straight on the edges. And I'm going to use a light blue, a cyan. And I want my circle to be as big as my cutout opening. So I'm going to use that as kind of a measurement and kind of make a circle down here right on top of my spaceship. Because it's on a different layer, I can transform it if I'm a little bit off and I go, I needed it a little bit skinnier. I still want to keep it a circle. I still want to keep it nice and domed, but I can finagle with it a little bit until it's the right width and still a circle. And then hit enter when I like it. And then move it into position. If you happen to have a very tall alien, you can put the top of the glass very high, and if it's a smaller one, you can just have it closer to the ship. If you need to move the body of your ship, easy to do that. You just click on your UFO folder, and then it'll move everything in that folder at the same time.
So to make your ellipse round, do you press control or you just do it by eye?
I haven't been able to find how to lock that in FireAlpaca. Shift doesn't seem to do it. Whenever I try making an ellipse and I hold down shift, it doesn't lock it. I don't know if it's alt, control. Like none of these seem to work. Yeah, I haven't figured out yet. How do you keep it a perfect circle? So I've been eyeballing it. Another way to do it, of course, is you can get your grid, your circle grid, and you could always do it that way too. You just put the middle right in the middle of your cutout, and then you can draw a circle that way.
Some of the things I did change this color all around. All right. And
the other thing we need for this glass dome is one that matches the curve of the cutout. So I'm going to get a new temporary layer, so I won't bother naming it. And I'm going to try to make that same kind of ellipse. It's on its own layer, so I can transform it if it's not wide enough or if it's too wide. It doesn't have to be exact. I just want it to be similar so that it looks like this glass covering goes right around the base of the ship, this body of the ship.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go ahead and collapse those layers. Go back to my drawing tool, and I need to make these straight sides. So I'm going to change my ellipse menu to line. And from the edge of my circle to the edge of my ellipse, I'm going to try to make a line. Sometimes it'll stick out. I'll show you, there's this little bump.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it sticks out, no real way to fix that. I'm just going to try to go in the center of the line. And I'll just clean that up with an eraser later probably. But you just do your best to link that up. And then change it back to freehand and get your eraser if you need to erase any little bump on the outside. And of course, we're going to erase the rest of the lines on the inside.
Oh, dearie me. Okay, so I'm working on my second ellipse, and I cannot move that separately. I could make it on a separate layer, I guess, and then collapse.
Yeah.
And then I can transform it to make what I want.
Exactly right.
So then I want a line, straight
Okay, hey, how have your guys' weeks been going?
So far, so good.
It's all holiday, right? And
Yeah.
I like holiday. How about you? Are you in
Oh
school
yeah,
right now?
yeah. A very cool holiday is coming up called my birthday.
Oh,
Monday.
nice.
And when is that?
The
How
21st.
of this very month? Why, that's next week.
Yeah,
It's
I'm turning
Sunday, isn't it?
20.
No.
Whoa, time flies.
Oh, that's impossible. 20? We won't be able to think you're a kid anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye-bye teenager years.
You don't sound that sad.
Nah. I feel like when you're a kid, you think, oh, getting older and reaching these milestones is so important. But now that I'm older, like they just seem kind of meaningless, you know? Not in a sad way, just in a like retrospective way.
Yeah.
It is. I remember thinking being 10 years old. Oh my gosh, double digits. Now I think, what? No, I don't think that's that important.
Yeah.
Double digits. Talk to me about triple digits. Yeah, we're going to have a big party then.
Don't forget to save your work, a little Control S, or you can go to File and Save.
Oh, hey, well, can I show you guys something I'm working on, like that painting? I tried messing around with it, but I'm not satisfied with it.
Would you like
What painting is this?
It's the one with the cat.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Pause, record.
Like just choosing basic stuff.
Yep.
Part of me kind of wants to like try doing that like with other characters to their base out, just
For
making base
sure.
elements.
Yep. That might be called a thumbnail. We know something about that in these classes.
Yeah. But then it's just like, I mean, like I do thumbnails, but just like have that be the basic character, like the entire thing. Oh, hey, did you hear about that Nintendo Direct?
Nope.
What?
You know, a direct where it's like they show off all like the new stuff for games they're gonna release.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch it myself. I just sort of like hearing secondhand accounts. But there was something I saw that interested me. Well, multiple things, but just this. They showed off like art for the new Pokemon 9th generation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. They're going like a different direction with the art style.
Well, I hope Turner isn't in charge because I don't like his designs.
What's he designed?
I think he did the black and white Pokemon.
Oh, that's a shame. I like the black and white Pokemon.
I don't care for them. I like the original ones, but I'm a sucker for Bulbasaur and Pikachu, like the very first ones. So, personal opinion.
Yeah,
As
true.
long as somebody likes it.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps getting hired, so somebody likes his designs.
Yeah, I'd say my least favorite were like the newest ones, like the main 3 Pokemon. Those were some of my least favorite designs.
Like Grookey and the rabbit and
Yeah, like their like main thing, like I don't know, they feel kind of unfocused.
yeah, they're definitely generic.
Yeah, like I think its idea, the whole like one thing I didn't realize is about how until I heard someone talking about is how all 3 of each generation is based on like a theme, and the theme of like this one is like jobs. And I think it's cool like having one be like a drummer and a sports star and a spy is cool.
Yeah, it was all
But
very British.
yeah, but it wasn't really conveyed very well.
No, I didn't like the final forms at all.
Yeah, I'd say like the Grookey one, the ape, came out the best.
Really? That's my least favorite. I feel like I'm talking with my sister when I'm talking with you, Michaela, because her favorites are always the opposite of mine too, where it's just like, what? You like that one?
Yeah, I'm not saying I like him. I'm just saying like his design,
Like,
I think
the one you hate the least, yeah.
yes.
That's the
The
one I hate
rabbit
the
is
most.
yeah, the rabbit is cute, but it's kind of like got a bunch of details that don't really say anything, you know?
True.
And the lizard also kind of has that too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like the monkey, like with its design, it kind of like like it's pretty self-explanatory.
I can see that. I want to fill in my glass dome, but I want to be able to manipulate the opacity so that it's transparent. That means it's going to have to go on a new layer. And I have a problem because if I fill with layer turned on and there's nothing on my layer 12, it fills in the whole thing. If I turn on canvas, it's going to stop at my stars and my sky. Oh no, what do I do? So temporarily, I have to turn off my sky and everything in the background. So I'm turning off all my layers except for my glass outline.
Oh, the lights and the cutout too. Okay.
Yep, everything. I'm just going to turn off everything so I only show my glass outline. I'm going to go on my fill. And now when I set it to canvas, it'll fill it up just fine.
Okay. Oh, are you using the same color there?
I am. You
Does
can use a
it
different color
matter?
if you want. No, it doesn't matter. You can always change it with Control U to get the hue slider. But I do want to take the opacity down so that it's transparent, maybe in the 40s or 50s. And then I can go ahead and turn all my layers back on.
Okay, mine, wait a minute.
Oh,
Mine filled the whole canvas. Oh, maybe I had it on layer. I had to put it on canvas.
Yep, now the time you're going to put it on canvas.
Oh, that worked. Okay, and then I'm going to opacity it down to nothing. Oh, I want to do that with the others on.
So I've got mine at about 40% opacity, and I've named my layer glass fill just so I know what it is.
So on this one, it looks like there's 2 different colors on your first one.
On my first one here, the outline?
Yeah.
That's because my outline is set to overlay. So we can go to ours and I can turn it to overlay. And it will disappear on the red, so I can open up my hue slider and just pick a color for the outline that looks cool.
Oh, so
Since this is
did that too.
alien technology, we can go wild with the colors and the effects.
Oh, I see. Actually, my problem is that I made it too small. All right, so what I want to do is leave it alone for now. It's just too complex.
Sure.
Can I transform two layers together? Probably not. I probably have to smash them down to do that.
I think you do. Let me try it out real quick. I remember thinking that it was a shame I wasn't able to do that in FireAlpaca. Yeah, nope, it doesn't come up.
So could I smash the glass and the fill together? Are we going to mess with them any further?
Only if, no, actually you can, yeah.
All right, I'm going to put
I
those
think
together,
you can.
and then I can transfer. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Of course, that made the outline disappear entirely. Interestingly enough,
well, actually, you could just take off the outline. We don't actually need the outline.
Yeah.
It can be more like a force field.
Smashing them together. That just. I have trouble with my. That's nice. That's perfect. I like that. Okay.
All right.
It has no outline, but it looks very good.
Then we're going to add a little bit of shading on the body of the ship. If you have your cutout on a separate layer, great. If you don't, you have to select with your magic wand the body color. Mine's red, so I would have to get my magic wand and select my red so that I can color just the back of it. But since mine is on a separate layer, I'm just going to hit Protect Alpha because I want to protect my pixels. I'll get a darker red and my airbrush so I can do some smooth shading and just start coloring in that back rim of the ship and maybe one side of it if you want to have a little bit of a color change there. And then we're going to work on the alien propulsion. I'm just going to call it flames again because that's what we had for our rocket, even though it's not really flames. Or you can call it propulsion or whatever else you think would be a good name for that layer. But I have to move it to the bottom of the list while keeping it in the folder. Sometimes it's easier if it keeps popping out of the folder to just move the bottom one up instead of trying to move the top one down, if that makes sense. But we do need them all in our UFO folder with the flames layer at the very bottom. I'm going to move my spaceship a little bit so I have more room. I just go to my UFO folder and I can move every layer at the same time. Go back to my flames layer, and just like with the rocket, there was that really spiky brush. There's the leaf brush, the flat brush, whatever brush you like. I'm going to use bright white, but I'm going to take down the percentage of the second bar down here in my brush control down to about 40 or 30 so that it's see-through a little bit. And like I said, use whatever brush makes neat shapes. You can use the airbrush, spiky brush, pen tool. I'm using the airbrush and pressing a little harder underneath the body of the ship and a little more lightly as it goes away from the ship, so it looks like little thrusters. And you can play with the opacity of the layer. If you want it a little lighter or more see-through, you can take it down. You can also check out some of the different blending modes. Oh no, I guess you can't because it's in a folder. Never mind. I keep it on normal.
So you were just using an airbrush there, right?
Yep, just an airbrush. I put the flow, like how much quote unquote paint comes out, very, very low. And then I can layer it up a little more easily. If I have it at 100, it's just like, whoa, solid white.
Okay.
And then our favorite layer is the glow layer. That's going to go right at the very top. We'll set that to overlay. And with my bright white, I'm going to, let me zoom in here, increase my flow back up to 70 or 80 and start, oh, my airbrush isn't big enough. Let's go bigger. Start adding some glow rings to my lights. Whoa, too much over there. Then I'm also going to paint pure white into the lights themselves. So I go to my lights layer, protect alpha, and I'm going to put a little bit, whoa, not that much.
So the glow layer, when you put your glow on your lights, oh, you have a layer called glow. Oh, I guess I combined that with my glass. I'll just give myself a new glow layer.
Sure.
For that. So the glow, okay, I want that to be below the lights. That's right.
I can add a little glow to my glass cover. Kind of following the contours around a little bit. I can add extra glow to the propulsion. If I want to, you can also try out using colors instead of white on your glow layer. So I'm going to add a little bit of cyan to my propulsion here. Still on the glow layer. That's a pretty bright looking UFO.
So now I made my lights red, bright red. So when I put the white in the middle of them, that wasn't too effective. They just look like polka dots.
You can use like a brighter pink or a light pink if you've got a red light.
Well, they came out sort of pink. It's just like your white dots just look like it's intense yellow, really. Maybe I could use a darker red.
Yeah, let me try one here.
Try.
Whoops, I protect alpha.
Okay, that did nothing.
You might try a light yellow center. Mine looks kind of okay with a yellow center. I'm gonna let my dog out and be right back. Already 4:56, so I'm going to stop my share.